Hello everyone, my name is Hằng from Group 9. Our group includes 3 members, me, Thư, and Vinh. Today, we will discuss some problems, solutions, and notes in literary words translation.
Firstly, I'll introduce you problems translators may have during the working process. There are five major points essential to pay attention to and improve if you wanna become professional translators. The first problem is the difference between literary translations and the original ones. That is because of the following reasons: lacking corresponding vocabularies in the target language, or equivalence between two languages. Translators are lacking sufficient understanding and profound insights about the whole literary works. We get stuck in communicating the soul and hidden messages of the original version. The beauty and exquisite style of word choices cannot be totally translated from one to another. The second one is the issues of translating the names of characters and the incidents. Because of the specific meanings and nuances of every name in the source language, it is difficult for translators to find out the same replacement as the source ones. The requirements of absolute correctness for historical events and stories imbued with national and traditional values should be concerned. The third one is the fear of figurative language. Simile, metaphor, hyperbole, personification, and metonymy. Translators are obliged to keep the complete meaning of the product. Besides, metaphor is the embodiment of culture, customs, and common beliefs, so cultural considerations are highly required in this case. The next one is the prevalence of these literary words. You know what? The ultimate purpose of translating is to break the restrictions of language barriers and bring Vietnamese literature across the world. In addition, literary words taught in high school have been replaced by popular modern ones. They baffle the translators as to whether they are worthwhile to spend time with. Creating a literary translation is considered the most typical work. Move on to the next one: times and professional skills. Stamina, the ability to concentrate and make well-informed decisions, is crucial for translators to pursue the stressful career. Additionally, translators have to be self-assured. Apart from that, the main points and the style of the authors should be rigorously noticed.
Now let's move on to the solutions. How to deal with difficulties in translating literary work. For our groups, the first solution is that you should understand thoroughly about a literary reference. This may seem obvious, but it is very important to have a deep understanding of the work you are translating before you can start to translate it. This includes understanding of the meaning, the deep meanings, its tones, imagery, and also for its cultural context. The next one is that you should do your research. If you come across a word or phrase that you do not really understand, or that does not have a direct translation into the target language, I think you should do your research. This could involve looking up the word in a dictionary, reading about the cultural context, or even consulting with other translators. The third one is that you should be creative. Poetry is often creative and expressive. It is so important to find creative ways to translate the poem meaning and effect into the target language. This may involve using different poetics devices such as metaphor, simile, personification, and stuff. Next one is that translating cultural references. If the work contains cultural references that are not familiar to readers of the target language, you may need to explain them in a footnote or translator's note. You may also need to find equivalent cultural references that are quite familiar to readers of the target language. And the fifth solution is that you should translate puns and wordplay, rhythm, and meter. Puns and wordplays are often difficult to translate as they rely on the specific meaning and sounds of words in the source language. If the poem contains punch or wordplay, you may need to find a different way to convey the same effect in a target language. Translating rhythm and meter. The rhythm and meter of a poem are important elements for its overall effect. If you are translating a poem into another language with a different poetic tradition, it may be difficult to maintain the same rhythm and meter. In this case, you may need to focus on conveying the overall effect of the poem's rhythm and meter, rather than trying to match it exactly.
Okay, so now we move to the next part, notes. I have three important notes for you in this part. Number one, you should know the book and the author before you translate. Second, focus on aesthetic functions. And third, ensure your translations are current, contextual, and meaningful. Now, about number one, if possible, it's best to connect with the author directly. This will not only mitigate the above-mentioned issue of subjectivity, but will also deepen the translation connection with the work and enable them to make smarter choices. Second, focus on aesthetic functions. The main principle of literary translation is the dominance of poetic communicative function. In addition to rendering information to the reader, literary translation also has aesthetic functions. It means that we should understand the context and words, pay attention to the word choice in order to beautify your translation products. And last, ensure your translations are current, contextual, and meaningful. Reading and writing as much of the foreign language as possible is the most essential way to upgrade your translations. While practicing these skills, you can learn more words and structures, so you can use them correctly. So that's what our group want to discuss. Thanks for listening.